So over the past year, I've been making a ton of tracks, and I've even sent some to record labels to try and get signed. And to be honest, I got a good response. One of them even sent me over a contract to do a deal. But the deeper I started getting into it, the more I thought, maybe this isn't the right path. And so I decided to start my own label. No middlemen, no delays, just me, full creative control, straight to the listener. So this is the story of why I decided to start my own label and go independent. And maybe more artists should do the same thing too. Let's get into it. So I've been making music for almost a decade now, mainly in the hip hop space, making drill and trap music. And I've worked with some of the biggest artists in the UK. But about a year and a half ago, I decided to pivot. I got more and more into electronic music, started making techno and trance, and I realized this is the lane that I want to be in. And for most of 2024, I was stuck in the lab trying to figure out my own sound and my new direction. During that time, I made so much music, a ton of tracks, and I was just constantly refining my sound and stockpiling all of them up. So now, honestly, I've built up a huge vault of unreleased music, but I didn't really know what to do with them. So after speaking to other producers and DJs, I realized that in electronic music, labels really still matter. They hold a lot of weight and are still very culturally relevant. A lot of them suggested to me to try and find a home for them and sign them to labels. There's some big ones like Armada, Drum Code, Spinning Records. They've been around for many years, and they've built a huge following of people that really enjoy their taste and their curation of music that they release. You have fans who are literally fans of labels for their particular sound or style, even more so than the artists that release on them. And so that's why signing to one of these labels can really change everything. And there's really two major reasons why. First of all, if you sign to one of these record labels, it's huge social proof. A respected label signing your track and co-signing you, it's essentially telling other DJs, promoters that this person is worth watching. And in general, you're going to be taken way more seriously by the industry. And the second reason is honestly the network. These labels have direct connections and built-in pipelines with booking agents, editorials, with playlist curators that they can plug you into. And if you have the right track and it connects, literally you could go from making music in your bedroom one day to touring the globe the next day. It really can change everything for you. Now, from my understanding, when you sign to an independent electronic label, I'm not talking about the majors here, usually you're not really doing it for the money. Typically, you won't really receive an advance depending on your level. In some cases, the label probably won't recoup, but the reason why you would sign your record over is more so to use it as a promotional tool, to get your name out there, and really as a DJ, you're gonna be making your money on the road touring. And so I started to do my research, going deeper and deeper in it. I'm finding labels that have released artists that make kind of similar music to me. I put together a very specific list and I just started sending my music out. And honestly, I got a decent response. I started getting A&Rs hitting me back, but one label in particular wanted to sign one of my tracks. I cannot believe it. So one of the labels that I sent to, they got back to me and they literally said they want to sign one of the tracks that I sent. I'm gonna send off all the things that they're asking for and then we'll see what happens, but that's very good news. Yeah, I'm very happy about that. That's amazing. And so we went back and forth over email. They sent me over the contract. And to be honest with you, after reading it, I didn't really fully understand what it meant. So I did throw it into ChatGPT. They broke it down to me like I was a 5-year-old. I also spoke to a lawyer. He checked it over for me. And honestly, he advised me not to sign, but instead to go back and negotiate a couple of things. And so again, I went back to the label. We went back and forth to eventually the communication kind of broke down and I didn't end up signing that record over. So the deal fell through. But that was all good. I kept on moving forward and sending my track out to other labels. A lot of conversations, but nothing concrete signed. And after a few months of this, I still had a ton of music just sitting on my laptop, which doesn't really do any good for anybody. In my mind, the way how I see it, if music is not out, then it's not really living. It's almost like it doesn't exist to the world. So without a home for these tracks, I wasn't sure exactly what to do. But then I was listening to a podcast with a house DJ called Ben Rao. He has a podcast and a community called Dojo Music where he interviews other DJs but also gives a bunch of tips on music production and honestly navigating your way through the industry. So you should definitely check that out after you watch this video. But he said something that shifted my thinking. He talked about how he was sending tracks in the beginning to loads of different labels and nothing really happening until one day his mentor told him, you gotta back yourself, you need to start your own label and putting out your own music.
If nobody's picking you, Benjamin, you have to pick yourself. And he goes like, you have to start your own label.
And he did that. He started his own label, and after releasing his first few records, they did really, really well. I'm talking charting on Beatport and all of that good stuff. And if you don't know, Beatport is the platform where most DJs go to find new music so they can download it and play it at their shows. And that's how he was able to get the ball rolling for himself, which was like a switch for me in my mind. Why wait when you can go directly to the market? It's 2025 and social media exists. TikTok is like the place where most people find their music, and you can consistently put yourself out there and find your audience. If the music is good and you know how to move, you don't need permission and you can get your momentum rolling. Now, I'm not gonna lie, at first when I was thinking about starting a label, I was a little bit hesitant. You see, in the beginning, I never really set out to run a record label. I never really saw it in my cards. To me, it seemed like it was just a huge bureaucracy kind of task to do. But then I realized it's not necessarily about just running a company. It's just self-releasing properly with a bit of structure. So instead of just going straight to DistroKid or TuneCore and releasing under your name, with your imprint, you can have your tracks uploaded on Beatport, for example, so DJs can find them and spin them at their own shows. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that I'm probably more naturally inclined to go down an independent route. Mainly due to ownership. I think that's really, really important as an artist, especially when we're speaking long term, and you also have 100% creative control, even down to the artwork. When you release on these labels, they do all that for you, so you don't really have a say there. And also, I'm really, really inspired by artists like Grab, Swim, Skin on Skin, Crushed, to name a few, who all self-release or all have their own labels, and they just do their own thing. Now look, signing to a major label, in my opinion, it's not all that bad. I don't entirely buy into the whole narrative that labels are all evil and they're all going to screw you over and it's just a glorified loan that you're taking. I think it just comes down to if the deal is right for you or not. Things can work out and they can be incredible partners if the deal is right, and better yet, if you as the artist has the leverage to negotiate something that is favorable for yourself. There's many advantages signing to a label, as I mentioned before, which can be a little bit more challenging to navigate as an independent, because you literally got to do everything yourself. It's hard to just be an artist, you got to wear multiple hats. But for now, I think this is the right move for me. So you might be wondering, will you ever sign to a label? Maybe, if it truly aligns. I gotta be honest with you, there's probably like 2 or 3 labels that I'm personally a huge fan of, and I feel like my music would sit really well on those labels. And if the opportunity comes, then I'd be open to it, but for now, I'm definitely gonna focus on my own one. So, what's the label called? Drum roll. The label is called Salt Water. I know what you're thinking, why salt water? That's so random. There's not really any strong meaning behind it. When I was registering up to the service to put my music out, the first thing that you got to fill out is the name of your label. So I was sitting there just thinking, what am I going to call this? First thing that came to mind was salt water. And when you think about it, what is the ocean? It's just salty water. And so I ran with it. For me, this is definitely a long-term play, a platform for me to release music consistently and build a catalogue that reflects my vision and my sound. Will I release other artists' music too? Possibly. I'm open to it, but for now I think this is going to be more of a home for just my music. So if you're like me and you're an artist sitting on loads and loads of music, waiting for someone to say yes, maybe it's the time for you to say yes to yourself. If you feel it in your gut that you're ready to drop, it might be time for you to back yourself, start dropping consistently and building your own momentum, and then let the industry come to you. And speaking of momentum, my first release under Saltwater is out today. It's called Not Over, and it's one of the very first songs that I made when I decided to move in this new style of music. So click the link below, check it out, give it a listen, and most importantly, keep going.